This is one of the most haunting stories in the entire history of space exploration. It's a story of incredible courage, yes, but also of friendship and catastrophic, avoidable failure. This is the tragedy of Vladimir Komarov. Here's the first thing you need to understand, and it's a chilling one. This was not some unforeseen disaster. Cosmonaut Vladimir Komarov was completely aware that the spacecraft he was about to fly, the Soyuz 1, was a death trap. So, why? Why would anyone willingly climb aboard a machine they knew was going to kill them? Well, the answer is just heartbreaking. He did it to save his friend, the man who would have been forced to go in his place.
And what happened next was as tragic as it was inevitable. A complete failure during re-entry sent him plummeting back to Earth. He didn't just crash, he hit the ground with the force of a meteorite.
To really understand this kind of sacrifice, we have to look at the man himself and the terrible secret he was forced to carry with him on that final doomed mission. So this whole tragedy was really born out of the intense pressure of the Cold War space race. The Soviet Union was absolutely desperate for a propaganda victory, and Soyuz 1 was supposed to be their next great achievement. The only problem? The ship was nowhere near ready. It was basically a coffin. And I don't mean it had a few glitches. The engineers and the technicians on the ground, they knew exactly how bad it was. Before launch, they had logged 203 separate, known structural failures with the spacecraft, any one of which could have been fatal. But even with all those clear and present dangers, the Soviet leadership just pushed ahead. See, the launch had to happen on a specific day to line up with a national holiday. For them, politics was more important than the life of the man they were sending up. And this brings us right to the heart of the story. It all came down to a deeply personal and truly impossible choice that Vladimir Komarov was forced to make. So Komarov was the pilot, but every mission has a backup, and his backup was none other than Yuri Gagarin. Yes, that Yuri Gagarin. The first human to ever fly in space, a national hero, a living legend, and Komarov's very close friend. And here's the horrible dilemma. Komarov knew that if he backed out, if he refused to fly, the state wouldn't just cancel the mission. Oh no, they'd just send the backup. They'd send his friend, Yuri, up to die instead. He couldn't let that happen. So, Vladimir Komarov climbed into the Soyuz 1 capsule, knowing he was not coming back. He was sacrificing himself for his friend. The flight, as you can imagine, was a complete disaster from the start. Just as predicted, it was plagued with system failures while in orbit, but the final, terrifying moments came during the re-entry. Everything that could possibly go wrong did. The capsule began tumbling uncontrollably. Main systems failed. The small drogue parachute got tangled, and the main parachute, his only real hope of survival, it never even deployed. There was no escape. As he was falling, U.S. listening posts in Turkey actually intercepted his final frantic communications, and they reported hearing him, not in fear, but in a rage, cursing the engineers and the officials who had knowingly sent him to his death in a broken machine. With no parachute to slow it down, his capsule just gained speed, finally slamming into the plains of Orenburg at an estimated 90 miles per hour. The force of that impact was just immense. It literally flattened the spacecraft into a heap of metal just 2 feet high. The impact and the subsequent fire from the rocket fuel completely incinerated what was left. But the story, unbelievably, doesn't end there. Komarov had one last message to send, a final, silent act of defiance that he had planned before he ever left the ground. Knowing his fate, he had made a final, shocking request to his superiors. If he died, he insisted on an open-casket funeral. It's a morbid, gruesome demand, but he had a very powerful reason for it. You see, this was his final protest. He wanted the Soviet leaders, the very people who ignored those 203 warnings and rushed the mission, he wanted to force them to look upon his charred remains. He wanted them to have to stand there and confront, face to face, the horrific human cost of their ambition. Komarov's story really forces us to ask a difficult question, doesn't it? What is the true cost of ambition? His final silent protest is a chilling reminder of the price that is sometimes paid and of the man who gave everything to save a friend.